Welcome to 9 Things You Should Know When Planning Your Wedding. This is the second episode. The first episode we would have covered 3 things. Finding the right person to plan your wedding with. And I'm not speaking about a wedding planner, talking about your person. And the second thing was your invitation list. The third thing being technology you could use to help you in planning this wedding.
And in that episode, you covered some great technology in terms of Google Keep, Google Spreadsheets, Amazon, Pinterest. It was a fantastic episode. And it felt great to walk down memory lane. And today I'm looking forward to talking about venue, date, and decorations.
Ooh.
So, let's get started with talking about the date. Our wedding was on April the 4th. I believe it was a Easter Monday.
It was a Easter Saturday.
It was a Easter Saturday.
We didn't get married on a Monday.
Now work on a Monday. And married on a Monday either. Yeah, but that weekend and it was right. It was a Saturday. A lot of people had plans. So
because it was Easter weekend.
Yeah, it was Easter weekend. And I wanted so badly to get married on April 1st.
I know you wanted nobody to come because they thought it would be a joke.
Yeah, and I felt really looking back at it that you didn't meet me halfway in terms of, okay, you want to get married on the 1st, I want to get married on the 4th, they get married on the 2nd.
Well, I would have still been working.
But our wedding on April 1st would have been absolutely epic and something to talk about. When you tell people like, yeah, I get married on April 1st, nobody would believe you. And
then you might remember the date of your wedding.
I would have definitely remembered the date of the wedding. So I think it's an important consideration to make in terms of when you're having your wedding and reaching out to people, because a lot of people I reached out to, we mentioned Farid Mohammed from Graphic Scripts. I can think about Ian Imamali, even Gerard, who drove the wedding car for me.
That nobody saw.
That nobody saw.
Because you're so early.
And no, a lot of people had plans. So I think it's really kind of important in terms of setting a date that is a little bit, I mean, I'm happy looking back at the date that we chose.
But that could have been intentional, right?
Yeah, it could have been intentional. And yet, there's something, I don't know if I should have mentioned it in the last episode, but I just want to say something quick on terms of the guest list that you're having. There is, particularly if you may have, long story short, I feel like there are people that I should have invited to my wedding that I didn't. And looking back on it, that's one of the real big regrets that I had. Whether it is kind of maybe personal differences that I felt I had with them. And then, looking on at an older age, reflecting on some of these things, maybe even bridges that you've crossed. I think I have some serious regrets that because of personal differences, and I know this makes me sound small, but I was small. I was really small.
Let me come and bat for you there. So when we were trying to break down the guest list, you were very, very brutal, I would say, when you were cutting down your list. So you said if I didn't talk to this person within the last 6 months, they're not coming to my wedding. And you were very hard and fast with that. So maybe I would say don't be that hard and fast with your wedding list, because there might be people, as you have admitted in the past, you like friendships like that where you don't speak to people for years, but when you do bounce up, you could talk like you didn't miss a beat. So I would advise against that. But I think you were just trying to find an easy way to whittle down the list. So I can't really blame you too much, but I understand where you're coming from, because you're going to make some real rash judgments in the moment.
Well, I appreciate your support. Yeah. It's not often that is
forthcoming.
It's
not often, so take it.
I mean,
yeah. Oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
No, please, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the way I chose the date, because I did choose, I offered you 4 dates or 3 dates, I think it was. And the premise to that is I wanted you to be able to remember the date, because I know you'll continuously be asking me, what day we get married? What date we get married? So I wanted it to be real easy for you to remember. So I went through the calendar and I looked at all the Saturdays in the year since we got engaged, which would have been the August 2014 before we actually got married. So there were about 3, I think. I was looking for them with the double digits. So the 4th to the 4th, the 8th to the 8th, the 1st to the 1st, something like that. So it would have been easy for you to remember. and the others were
You
pretty
know, I never
low
make
down.
that connection before.
I told you this, but
Yeah,
you
no.
forgot.
Yeah, yeah. Still- it's like whoever tried it is useless.
So the others seemed to be very far away, and some were too close because we got engaged, I said, in August, and April seemed to be just enough time to plan a decent sized wedding. So it was just about trying to give you those dates, the easy dates, and then you would choose like which one works best for you. And we both just settled on April. Also, the holidays would have helped in terms of getting more vacation time without using too much vacation days. And then we get to have a longer honeymoon, stuff like that.
And it also enabled the people who traveled from abroad to come to the wedding.
To come down, yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely facilitated that. So it opened us. But you know, though my personal takeaway for this that I would like to encourage the listener, you know, though keep someone off of your guest list, especially if it's family, in terms of, you know, some petty misunderstanding that you may have with them, big or small. You know, patch it up, move forward so that you could look back and say, you know, Granny was here.
Why would you not invite your granny? You're real brutal. Yeah, I invited a lot of friends who I may not have even spoken to in a while, but we were really good friends, and we would have gone through a lot of things in high school probably. So it was nice having them at the wedding. You look back and you see these pictures. It's like wow. And then you have all your family there. I think I have a lot of pictures with people who are no longer here, and it's kind of sad and cool to have the picture and the memory from that day. Like I think I have a picture with all three aunts on daddy's side, and none of them are here now. So it's nice to have the memorial.
Yeah, it's true, boy. We have some response. Let's jump ahead to talking about the venue.
Yeah.
And the venue is a big deal. I could think about some fantastic. We'll talk about our experiences, but I think before we even talk about our experience, my personal take on it is, you know, boy, a venue. I see some of these places where we have been to weddings at the Movie Town, the Hyatt. There's this place in Santa Cruz which was fantastic. It have some kind of
Drew Manor.
Yeah, from the time you hear Manor in it, you're thinking like kind of Bruce Wayne kind of
Horses.
thing, and horses, and it's fantastic. And the first thing that strike me is I would love a wedding in a location like that, but it always kind of strike me as kind of dumb almost. And I know we talk about this Cinderella type wedding, and you know to have really a special day, but I find it's like to be young and spend so much money on a location.
I mean, if you have it and you want to spend it, no ill
But
will to you.
even at the cost of, like, how do you feel about spending $30,000 on a location and you're probably going into renting a house that's your living accommodation?
Personally, for me, yeah, that's not my kind of cup of tea at all, because I am very frugal, as you would know. So that wouldn't be the avenue I would take.
But if
But
you're
there are
listening to this
people
and you know
like
you
that
could
sort of
afford
thing.
weddings like
Yeah.
that, and we are friends, please feel free to invite us.
We'll definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, but I always find it kind of dumb to spend that much money on. I mean, like, I don't know, boy. There's just I mean, as you say, you boil it down rightly. If you have the money, it's not hurt in your pocket by all means. But when you consider the amount of things that you have to invest in afterwards.
Are you going to pay for a wedding or a marriage? So
Yeah. So what were some of the things that, because I wasn't doing a lot of thought when it comes to these things, but in choosing a venue, can you remind me of some of the things we were considering and the price ranges that we were looking at?
So I would have checked out the hotels just generally to see if it was even in our Cinderella, if it was even in our grasp. But when I had checked, it was significantly out there. I mean, they were handling all of the decorations, the catering, parking would not have been an issue. So it was really just about if you're willing to spend that kind of money and then let them handle it. But then you might have people who, boy, I don't want to go to that big place, big fancy place. You know, your country girl, country bookie. Nobody want to come up in the town for your wedding. So
And the same goes for funerals. You know, don't get buried
Bell
too
Grove.
far. Like nobody gonna be coming to your funeral. The other day, somebody from like our side passed away when the funeral was in Chaguanas. I think like about 2 people in the area probably went to the
Oh,
funeral.
gosh.
Yeah, it's like you know how much it is to travel to Chaguanas.
no, I don't anymore. It's probably too much for me to handle.
Yeah, so you're talking about some of the locations that will provide and
Yes,
everything.
so I went to check the all-inclusive places that you don't have to worry about it, and then you check the places where you'll handle everything individually. But then I kind of found a way to circumvent that because my sister had gotten married. How many years, boy? About 3 or 4 years before me. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember right now. Okay, 2009. Yeah. Okay, so 6 years before me, and the venue that she used, she had a very good decorator. And this decorator kind of encompassed everything in her portfolio. She would have done the plants, the plate setting, the centerpiece, everything.
Is that the same decorator we use?
This is yes, it's the same decorator.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that she did
you didn't know-
Becky's wedding as
well,
well.
that was the portfolio that we used to hire her. She did the entire thing for Becky's wedding, and I thought it was well done. And she was very affordable. So
I remember her describing everything as like we'll have a
Whimsical.
little whimsical fountain here and a whimsical stage and some whimsical and it was fantastic.
yeah. And the way that we kind of separated the venue from the decorations, and then she was organizing all of the tables and chairs, I think, as well.
Yeah, I remember we went to the
Yeah.
Friday night and
And
the
we
guys
checked
were on
out
scaffolding and they
yeah.
were running drapes from different the
Yeah.
center to seal into different corners.
She's really, really good, and she's very affordable. She will work with your budget. So what I had done, I sent her a quote, and I asked her for a quote. She sent me one. I reviewed it and kind of cut things that I didn't want here and there, and we brought it down to something that was affordable.
You're comfortable sharing the figure?
It was about 20,000.
That was the final figure that you
Yeah,
all
this
agreed
was
on.
in 2015. So I don't want to think what inflation has done to that, but it was about that. But I remember she's going on a past history with me and my sister and having done work for us in the past. So then she would have even thrown in stuff after we agreed on that number that wasn't included. So like the
And she handled
chargers and
tables
stuff.
and everything.
Yeah, the chargers, the
Yeah,
decorations for the
yeah,
tables.
wow.
The chargers weren't even included in the cost, and she just threw them in. She's like, yeah, I have them, don't worry.
Yeah, that was,
So it was really
really,
good.
really efficient, and we were really pleased with what we were seeing. But did you kind of like shop around for different prices in terms
Honestly,
of decorators, or you
no.
just
Actually, yes, I did. I think I asked one other person, and the price I got from them, I don't want to call their names. It was out there, and I said, yeah, I can't afford that. I think I had checked Movie Town as well, sort of checked Hilton, Hyatt, Movie Town. Then I would have gone to check the random places. I think there was an auditorium somewhere in Chaguanas. Where else did I check? But then I ended up using Becky's venue as well, my sister, because it was just so close, so convenient. And sorry, excuse me.
that's fine.
So-
You go ahead.
Yeah, just eat.
So we end up using that venue, and remember they were doing some
It's
construction
5
on it
minutes
at the
from
point.
home, yeah.
The point in time, and compared to other venues, because there's a kind of a community center based in Couva. It was at the Renzi complex or something.
No,
like that?
not Renzi. We
Where
can't
it
afford
is?
Renzi.
Where it is?
I don't know what they call it now, but it's opposite Couva Hospital.
Right.
It's the
yeah.
MP's office, I think it is. That big open shed area.
Yes, it's like a
And
big
they-
shed with a half wall that they were
Yeah,
building.
and they would have renovated it so that parts are air conditioned and they have like big fans and thing now. But when Becky was getting married, it was a stark difference. So actually, we got it before they made the renovations.
Right.
So we got the pre-renovation
yeah, we get them to
price.
commit to the old price. And wow,
So it
because I
was
remember
done
your
real
mom.
good.
I remember your mom like going there and visiting and following up with the guy, and he was very helpful, very
Yes.
kind, and getting it. And
Well, he's
and the
also a family
price-
friend to her.
And the price kind of sounded more reasonable to me than the $30,000 or $40,000. And I probably call in small figures for some of these
Oh yeah,
locations.
now especially now. Yeah, venues are really expensive.
I mean, my personal take on it, I would like, we have daughters, I would love to give them the Cinderella wedding, but it's like, to me, if you have a piece of land and you just, you have some family with a piece of land and you get 3 or 4 tents rented, I think No, I mean to save cost. When for instance, we went to Renee's wedding,
Yeah,
and that was a very
that was
nice
lovely.
location,
Yeah.
a big yard. They had some big tents, and to me, even if everything is not picture perfect, not using their wedding as an example, but if everything isn't picture perfect about a
Yeah,
venue,
you wouldn't mind giving that up
there
for
there are little things
yeah.
that you remember.
Mm-hmm.
So like I think about us going to a wedding that was on a piece of land in San Fernando, and it had rained and they had probably put down some plyboard and you were
Oh
walking
yeah.
across, and you know it just have a certain kind of fun, and it stands out as a, yeah boy, this is kind of traditional cultural type wedding. I mean,
Home.
I love when I think back to venues. I could think about growing up in the 90s and you're going to East Indian
Cookings with
weddings and
the coconut
cookings.
branches on the
Yeah,
walls. I used
coconut
to
branches on
love
the walls.
putting it up. I used to help them put it up because we did it for all of my cousins. I remember we grew up with 1,000 cousins around us. So every time somebody get married, yeah, they tie in coconut branch with wire.
Yeah, one time we stormed a venue in Curep, my brother Lasana, myself, and two partners, and like we knew our wedding was going on there because it had coconut branches blocking the fence.
That's yeah. We used to do the coconut branches for parties too, and people used to be like, "Who getting married?" But nobody. We just having a party.
Yeah, but how we move away from that type of have we
People,
moved away from that type of wedding venue?
I think the coconut trees are becoming kind of scarce. Or
It's
maybe
like,
people just don't want to work. It used to be tedious, but it was to save money. And it was to make a place that probably wasn't structurally sound for rain falling. Instead of renting these tents, these plastic tents, which are probably hard to find, you would have used coconut branches and use your bamboo and you put something together. But now, because tents are probably so affordable and so prevalent all over the place, you rent 1,000 chairs, or you rent 500 chairs, you get a free tent or something. So
yeah, Lisa, you know where Lisa's wedding was?
no,
Lisa's wedding was my elder sister. Her wedding was in Daddy in the front yard. They
wasn't
set up
Sana's there as well?
tables. Lasana's
Yeah, his
wedding
wedding was
in,
there
yeah,
too.
in
Yeah,
San Fernando, then at a home in central Trinidad. Same type of setup, and I love weddings like that. And I mean,
yeah.
if it is that, I may be being very not frugal, being cheap. In terms of like
Cinderella without
investing
the
in a
fairy
life.
godmother.
Yeah, I guess you just have to think about what is important to you in terms of, you know, what comes after the wedding and the feasibility of the venue. But, you know, I get the Disney princess kind of wedding type setup and having a dream location. And, you know, boy, if you think about going to a wedding and because of what you see there, like you want to hang your hat a little bit higher, you know, like, hey, my friend get married at Center of Excellence, so I probably want to get married at Center of Excellence or the Hyatt, and then you just the price of your weddings just keep
You hang your hat
inflating
too
in that
high.
way. Yeah. And you had come up with some considerations in terms of when you're choosing a venue, in terms of like you were talking about sun, rain,
Yeah,
food
so we would have
stations.
had to take into consideration that place was a shed. So parts of it was open to the elements. So we had to have some tents outside just in case the rain happened to fall, which it did. And then you also have to consider if the sun was too hot and everybody's sweating because it isn't AC. So we had these big fans and you had the tents. So you have to really kind of consider. And then you also consider the ground you're walking on. Is it concrete? Is it grass? Do you need to tell people don't walk with heels because you'll get stuck in the grass? So you kind of let people know like what they headed into. But an important consideration for your venue is location. Where is this venue? Is it on top of a mountain? Is it an hour away? Is it 2 hours away? Is it so secluded that the parking is going to be a nightmare? Do you need shuttles? Do you need umbrellas? All of these things.
Is it a rough neighborhood and do you
Is
need
it a rough
police?
We did have police though.
We had police at our wedding?
Yeah, we had I think 2. We had hired some.
Oh,
Just
really?
to keep the peace.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember that at all. I know we
Yeah.
had policemen in the wedding. Yeah, that were there as guests. And yeah, hopefully they would have keep the peace if anything come out.
No, I believe we had hired 2, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, parking is a real serious consideration, and thanks for mentioning that. But you know the venue, I was pleased with it, and I think one of the things that the young couples could be looking, or any old couples who probably now getting married, you give serious consideration in terms of what your community centers may offer or
Yeah.
having locations like that.
Yeah, you
Because,
could get a steal of a deal from your community center, and the benefits of that is it's close to home. You forget something home, you don't have to drive an hour back, come back, and then the wedding thrown off. Yeah, I would recommend being close to where your venue is, if possible. Or if you cannot be close, like if you decide to go somewhere, maybe a hotel room or for the night, and you stay there, you get a good sleep, and you're close to your venue, you have everything that you need. So that any point where you're there for the night, you must figure out if you forget anything. And then you have the whole night to say, hey, bring this for me, bring that for me. Or tell somebody bring it in the morning. But it's a nice thing to be close to your venue, just for those in unforeseen circumstances.
yeah, well, thank you very much for all the, I really enjoyed walking down memory lane with you and talking about these things, because you realize that some of these memories are just there on the fringe, and when you pull them back, you get to, I remember turning
It's
around.
like thumbnails, and you pull them up and you try to remember.
Yeah. I think about being at the venue, and a particular memory stands out now, even though I kind of strained from the topic here, which is this idea of, you walking down at the aisle. And I remember Lasana telling me, you say, like when your wife walking down the aisle, make sure and turn around and look at your wife. And I was kind of so taken up with the traditional approach
Not
of you.
look, not look.
And when I turn around and see her, I was like, this girl real pretty boy. This girl real pretty boy. And looking back at all, I just want to thank in this episode everybody that really contributed towards the venue and it being a success, the whimsical decorations.
By Miss Joy Mirage.
Big up to Miss Joy Mirage, the food stations. Oh boy. And one of the things we didn't cover with venue and decorations is the DJ. Remember the DJ?
Shout out DJ.
DJ, yeah, we had oh boy, and like even the music and the sound systems that you had to be considering. We have a very good friend, Rian Lachman, and
Reliable Ray.
Ray do so much in terms of like providing the sound and the DJ for us.
Because like your right hand. He was like your right hand throughout building house and wedding and everything and after wedding. Yeah.
Yeah.
How you managing with one hand now?
Oh boy, I called him the other day, So I really want to shout out these people that the venue, the actual event, a success, and I hope you're listening to this. I hope you get some value out of it. In the next episode, we'll be talking about choosing a photographer. Take care.
Bye.